Hello and welcome back to Mark's Music Catalogue. Now, the album I'm going to look at today. Now, I happen to like this album. I think most people do as well. This, of course, is Peter Gabriel. Peter Gabriel with Peter Gabriel. Now, this is his third album called Peter Gabriel. And I believe in a lot of catalogues and various online forums, things like that, they took a vote, or someone took a vote somewhere on what to actually call his first three albums or first four albums, because they were just called Peter Gabriel. And the name Melt was actually chosen for this one. Now, the reason why he actually called them all Peter Gabriel is he wanted to give it an effect like a monthly magazine. Now, you know, when you pick up your Auto Trader every month or something like that, it's got the same title, Auto Trader, comes out every month, and the same title, got the same artwork and the same, yeah, it's just got something different inside the covers. And he wanted to have the same sort of effect with his albums. So every album came out, the first four albums that came out had this style, Peter Gabriel. So now you know why. Okay, right, let's get on, shall we? Peter Gabriel, three. I'll call it three for the argument's sake. This album, to me, is a little bit of a comeback album, I think. The first album that I heard blew me away. It was brilliant. It really was good. And then his second album, which came out. Now, I wasn't so keen on the second album. It took me a little while to get used to it. And if I remember rightly, back in 78, 79, when it was originally released, it got a little bit of a lackluster review from most of the critics. It was a little bit, I suppose, ordinary. I mean, that's just my opinion. Obviously, each to their own. Now, when he did this album, to me, he came back with a vengeance. He sort of shut his critics up. And to me, the first track on here, which is called Intruder, has got a superb rhythm, and it's drums. You know, I mean, it's Phil Collins on the drums, giving it everything but cymbals. Yeah, and I think that was probably the idea behind Phil Collins doing the drums on this when he did it for this particular tracks. No cymbals, just simple drums, and you've got a superb, really good sound effect coming in, like a metal, wiry sort of sound effect, like someone's snapping wire. Yeah, and of course Gabriel's voice to me is full of passion on everything he sings. And on this particular track, he sings it in that wonderful, menacing, gravelly voice that he had. Superb. Yeah, so it's a really good album. This one I think is a little bit more political than most of his other albums. Sorry, than his albums before this one. I mean, you've got Games Without Frontiers, which is very much sort of an anti-war song, and of course you've got the song Biko, which was written about Bantu Stephen Biko. Yeah, so there's a little bit more of a political stance on this one. And those of you who don't know who Peter Gabriel is, first of all, hang your heads in shame. And of course, Peter Gabriel was part of the early years of Genesis, and then he went on to have his own solo career. Now, um, Peter Gabriel is, in my opinion, one of the best solo artists there are. And he's one. When he looks at his songs, he doesn't just look at a song; he looks at a piece of art. He treats his songs with such care and compassion. I watched a couple of documentaries of him songwriting, and every song to him is like it's like a child he's bringing up. It's just such a good way and a constructive way of writing his material, and it is ace. It really is. But I really like this album. Now, the singles. This was actually released. Sorry, I should have said released on the 30th of May, 1980. And the singles that were released from this was Games Without Frontiers. It's probably one of his biggest hits, probably since Salisbury Hill. And of course, it's got the lovely and also equally talented Kate Bush singing the backing vocals for him. And then after, made number four. And after that was No Self Control, which again had the lovely Kate Bush also singing the backing vocals for. After that, and that made number 33. After that, you then had Biko. Now, it made number 38, but I got to be honest, at the time, and I still think now, it wasn't really a single. I mean, he had to hack it to pieces in order to get it down to the standard 3.5 minutes. It might be longer. To be honest, I've not really heard the single one for such a long time. I prefer the album. But I never felt it was single material. I never really understood why they released it at the time because I couldn't see it going down well at the dance charts. Anyway, And after that, the last single that was released from here was, of course, I Don't Remember. Uh, I Don't Remember is a really good rock track, but it failed to chart. But I think by then, so many copies of this one had actually sold. I don't think many people really bothered or worried about the single, unless it had a B-side that he hadn't released before. I don't know. I didn't look into that. But anyway, the highlights for me, as I said earlier, is probably the Intruder track, which just rocks straight in. And then, of course, the other track I really like is Not One of Us, which again is a very a sort of I don't know if it's racial, anti-racist or what, but it's very much we don't like you because you're different type song, you know. And to say the guitar work is messed up is an understatement, and I mean that in a really good way because the guitar work is extraordinarily brilliant. Now. On here is a list of who's who I think of rock back from 1980. You've got Phil Collins, who plays the drums on most of the tracks. You've got Robert Fripp from King Crimson, who is also married to Toyah Willcox, who plays guitar on some of the tracks. You've also got Paul Weller, who plays the guitar on the track. Let me get this right. And Through the Wire. And interestingly enough, the reason why Peter Gabriel asked Paul Weller to do it is because he liked, or he felt, that Paul Weller's aggressive guitar playing back then was perfect for the song. And I've got to be honest, I think he's right, you know, because I think that really adds to the song. Also, of course, like I said previously, you've got Kate Bush, who does some superb backing vocals, and this was pre Don't Give Up days, so I think they got to know each other reasonably well. Also, you've got a guy called David Gregory who plays electric guitar on a few of the tracks, and he was at the time, I don't know if he still is, probably not, but I'd need to check that out. He used to be with XTC at the time. And you've got a guy called Dave Ferguson, who was from a band called Random Hold, who does the lovely screeching effects on Biko. Anyway, like I say, this is a wonderful album. I highly recommend it. One of his best, in my opinion. So give it a listen. Yeah. Now, if you want to leave, I'd be interested, obviously, to hear your opinions on it. Please leave a comment below. Try and be respectful of other people's opinions as well. If you want to give us a like and a share, I thank you in advance. Okay, so thank you so much again, and I will see you on the next Mark's Music Catalogue. Bye.